Good morning, or whenever it is you watch this, at the start of a new week, a new video. And I thought for this one, I'm going to talk about console gaming, how it's changed, and I don't think for the better. Yeah, Crow agrees. So why? I mean, they're more powerful now than they've ever been. You get gaming that, in terms of size and scope, are up there with PC gaming, which years ago that wasn't the case. They were always a cheaper option. And if you did get games that were on both PC and console, the console was always cut down, compromised, changed, because you didn't have the horsepower that the PCs had. But today, that's different. Today they've got the horsepower, they've got the storage. So aside from sort of, in some cases, graphical enhancements on a console that's got, like a £1,000 graphics card in it, where you get 4K, 60 frames per second. With PC gaming, you don't. With console gaming, you might not. It might be 4K, 30 frames per second, with, not quite as good lighting effects or textures, whatever. But the game itself is the same. Oh, God. It's going to be one of them days, I think. I knew it was going to be a day today. I knew right from the start, but it's going to be noisy. So I hope you can hear this. But yeah. But now, what the impact that's had on console gaming is that a load of dust then. The impact it has on console gaming is it's made console gaming more like PC gaming. Games installing onto a hard drive, which means that you've only ever got a limited amount of storage. You can't just whack a disc in and play, or a cartridge in and play like you used to. You can to some extent on the Switch, but with the Switch 2, that's changing. It's the Switch 2 now. You have to install some. And it's not good. You only have, you only have a limited amount of storage space on the Switch. It's not that much really for modern games. And so consequently, You're having to uninstall games you've got to play new ones. That sucks. Anyway, I'll see you in the park for the rest of it. That's sort of the intro done. So I'll see you soon. Alright, here we are in the park. I thought I'd go a different way around today. Yeah, gradually consoles have become more like PCs, and I don't think it's good, personally. So that looks like through the viewfinder. It's a nice morning. Bloody cold though, and I don't think it's good. I think that they should be, consoles should keep their own identity for what they were. Which was quick, immediate, convenient. If you just wanted to play games without drama, they were really good for that. But now you have to sit and wait for the game to install, and then when it does, you've got day one patches which take forever to download. It's a pain in the arse. That's before you get to play it. All of these day one patches, the file size is the same size as the installation file. It's a joke. Constantly updates, churning up more hard drive space, and the biggest grievance I have is updates to games that install DLC that you haven't bought. Call of Duty was one of the earliest offenders of this, and that really pissed me off. It's like a form of ransomware. They lop off sections of your hard drive for multiplayer maps that have no intentions of playing or buying. And yeah, you're forced into it. And you can't just go and delete those files because they're embedded within the main game files. It's bang out of order. You know, why should I have something installed on my hard drive that I'm not using? And the only way I get to access it is to pay for it. That's ransomware in my view. It shouldn't be permitted, but it happens because when you do buy a season pass, all of that stuff that's on your hard drive is suddenly unlocked, like a couple of megabyte download, or in some cases only a couple of kilobytes. There's that bench from last time. That was the plaque I was reading about the trees that they've planted. That was what I was reading the other day. The park was full of people, and I turned around and everybody had buggered off. So we should do that again. Get on my freaking nerves. So yeah, you got like so I know that content had to have been already installed. So you got like limited storage space now that's made even worse by content that you haven't paid for, and what's worse, that you don't even want being installed. It's out of order, and it shouldn't be allowed. So there's that, and then there's the whole thing with, like I say, installing to a hard drive. And I know why. It's because the game size is too big to run off a disk. It's interesting that technology has moved forward in so many areas, but their solution to the issue of physical media and the storage limitations of the disk is to basically do away with it, and that forces the online element, because a lot of the time now you're actually downloading huge chunks of the game file. So if at any point you're offline, you buy a game, can't play it, you have to have this patch. And the impact of that on the future of gaming is actually quite profound, because that means in the future, if you want a game, play an old game, there's a good chance you won't be able to, because the file won't be there anymore. On a server, they can just take it off, and therefore you lose access to the game. That's it, gone. And there's nothing currently that you can do about that. And again, I think that's really bad. I think it sucks. I don't think it should be allowed. But like you can buy a PlayStation 1 today that works, and buy all of the games for it. There's that motor thing again. Buy all of the games for it, and they work. You don't need to download anything. It's just all there. But now you do. And it's not good. Don't like it. And Nintendo, unfortunately, I think they were the holdouts on this. With the Switch, where the games would come on a little SD-sized cartridge, which was great. The updates were small, if any. But now, with the Switch 2, a number of these cartridges now are just keys, which basically you have to download the game, and the cartridge is like a security key. You just download or put the cartridge in, and it scans the cartridge for the security key, and you get access to the game. The game isn't on the cartridge, which means you need an online connection, which is crap for a portable console, because without a Wi-Fi access point, or using your smartphone if you have one, I love how everybody assumes that people have smartphones these days. You know, I mean, I do, but I know people that don't. It's that means you don't get access to the game. I think I'll go back where I came. Go back around. It was weird doing it the opposite way, what I normally do. But yeah. And it's interesting these days to see that, you know, a lot of debate over, do consoles have a future? Well, they should do. But it's like planned obsolescence. You know, let's take away the advantages of a console, which was, you know, number one actually used to be affordability. But now, with these pro versions of consoles, you know, where they're like £700 for a games console, you'd have been laughed out of the goddamn market. Remember with the Xbox One, it was at like £450, and Sony showed the price of the PS4, which was £350. That was it. It was over. Not only was the PS4 the superior console for gaming, but it was £100 cheaper because it didn't have a crappy Kinect in it. You know, the device that 90% of gamers didn't want because it was rubbish. I have my own funny story. I did actually try the Kinect. It lasted about 48 hours. Actually, it was less than that. It lasted about 4 hours, which was me setting it up. And it kept telling me to back up, back up, back up. I was literally pinned against the wall in the room. It's supposed to be 6 feet away, and I was 8 feet away, and I kept thinking, is this thing fat shaming me or something? Anyway, I just made my mind up right then and there that, well, this ain't working. It went back in the box, and I traded it in, set the price off against getting the Vita, the PlayStation Vita, when it come out, which was actually a really good console. It was a really nice piece of kit, but it was just poorly supported. You know, it's sort of a self-inflicted destruction by Sony on that one. But yeah, it's become really apparent as well in this generation of console gaming that consoles are not being used as they should. They're being sort of hammered. They're being square pegged into a round hole. Let's make them more like a PC because that's what people want. No, they don't. Most people just want to put a game disc in and play. They don't want to be messing about with installations and God knows what. That's not what people want. Birds having a conniption round here. Can't see. Every time I look up, the sun goes in my eyes. But yeah, it's no longer the same these days. Just about had enough. And one of the future topics is going to be about DLC and season passes. getting worse, asking for more and giving you less, which they can bugger off with that crap and all. Does your head in. Yeah. It said now it was one season pass, now it's multiple. Bloody Borderlands 4. Can you do one? Two season passes on launch day. It comes to a total of £80. You're taking the piss. It's just sheer greed. And it'll kill the industry. They're always bitching and moaning and whining and complaining. I've no sympathy. You're doing it to yourselves. These people are too greedy. But that's a topic for another day. Probably Wednesday, maybe Friday. But yeah, games consoles. Not really doing what they were intended to do these days. Convenience, not a thing anymore. And they're not pushing tech very hard at all now. So, call it there. Pretty much walked around the place. And I'll call it there. I'll see you later.